Welcome. Thank you for joining me today as we start our first in a series, Around the World in 80 Days Soup Edition. Most of you at the Heritage Legacy will know me as your Zest assistant, and I hope that you remember the wonderful days when we used to enjoy our Around the World in 80 Days lunchtime activity where we would sample the sights, sounds, smells, costumes, ambience, learn about the cultures of different countries, and yes, of course, the tastes of international food. So today we're starting our soup series and we'll be making minestrone. Here we start with our wonderful fresh ingredients. The good thing about minestrone is that it can sometimes be called refrigerator soup. You can use any vegetables that you have left over in your fridge. Today, this is my personal recipe. We have white cabbage, carrots, celery, zucchini, yellow squash, onion, what would it be without onion, and red pepper. Here we have our seasonings, Italian seasonings. I think we have thyme, sage, mixed Italian seasoning, and my favorite ingredient, squishy basil. I'll show you that later. Salt and pepper. This isn't entirely essential, but it does add to the flavor, and I just happen to have some in the fridge, some white wine, some beef stock, fresh basil. Wouldn't be Italian if it didn't have olive oil in it, macaroni, crushed tomato. We're going to make this soup today using this new appliance that I just received. It's called an Instant Pot. It's actually a combination of a slow cooker, a pressure cooker, and a saute pan. And we're going to switch from using one cooking method to the next, using one pan only. I'm also going to use this wonderful item. This is a multi-purpose chopper, slicer, dicer, and in my family is fondly known as the kachunka. You will see why it's called the kachunka later. We're going to start off by adding a little olive oil and put this Instant Pot onto the saute position. Tend not to measure too much, but if I do, it's usually in glugs or blobs. That was about 2 glugs, I think. And we're going to put that onto saute, and it's saying it's got 30 minutes to do that, but I can turn that off any time that I like. One of the ingredients I like to use in my minestrone is bacon. Just gives that wonderful flavor. But you'll see here I'm just taking some of the fat off. I need some of it just to add to the flavor, but not all of it. I think that's probably enough. One thing that I absolutely love is I have to have extremely sharp knives. Do you know that a sharp knife is actually safer than a blunt knife? So I always have my trusty steel with me. Beware. I don't know if this is hot enough, probably not. I'm going to be slicing and dicing the onion, which we're actually going to add next while the pot is on the saute position. And I'm also going to chop up the cabbage, which we're going to use later. I'm not going to use the machine to do this. I just find it just as easy to do it this way, and I have a special method which I will show you very quickly. A little wasteful there, oops. So cut the onion in half, place it flat side down so that you have a nice safe way to cut against. I'm going to make 3 cuts longitudinally, making sure that I don't come all the way through. 2 and 3. Now I'm going to make 3 cuts. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I'm going to make 4. Again, making sure I stop just about here. Now, cutting across those lines at 90 degrees. 1, 2. And you see, little our onion is shredded exactly the same size. We've just finished it off. Okay, well that's the bacon, nice and crisp. Vegetables have to go in a certain order, just because we want the onions sautéed rather than boiled. They do go through the boiling process later, but just for now they need to be sautéed, okay? And now I'll carry on with the carrots. This is where I show you my kachunka. Okay, we're going to cut these in 3. Make it flat. 1, 2. This has a lid that you lift up. If you can see there, these are all the other gadgets. This I could do a smaller dicing with. This is 2 different types of graters, but for today we're going to use the bigger. Just lay these on here. And here we go, we close it and can you see that? So perfect. All diced the same size. And I'll just carry on. By the magic of video, I'll be back when all these carrots are done. Okay, so here we have nice crispy bacon and the onions sautéed. Here we have all the carrots already diced. I'm going to just pop all of those in. And I will carry on now. Maybe celery next, I think. Anything that's kind of rooty needs to be in longer. And now that's all the celery done, all the same size. And again, we're just going to add that to the pot. Moving on now to the zucchini and the yellow squash. So again, carrots, onions, bacon, celery. Oh, I wish we had smell-o-vision. Well, I do, but I wish you had smell-o-vision. So here we have the zucchini. I'm just moving on to the yellow squash here. Same method, just move it into thin slices. Cut it into chunks so that it fits this space here. Okay, I'm just adding the yellow squash and the zucchini to the pan. It's going kind of full now. It does have a level in here to say the highest point. So I think we're just about right actually here. I'm just going to add half of this pepper. I lied. I'm going to do all of it. The good thing about this is that you can actually layer it. I can put all 4 layers there. And so long as I'm strong enough, I can ka-chunk them all. And the last of our vegetables going in, wonderful red pepper. And in we go with the diced cabbage. Now time to add some liquid. So why don't we start with this can of pureed tomatoes, some tomato paste. Again, as I said, I tend not to measure. Special ingredient. As I said, it's not vital. Again, just a few glugs. Some beef stock. I'm trying to see the fill line here. I think that's probably a good place to stop. Because there's a lot of salt in the bacon, I'm going to salt afterwards. I'll add some of our spices and pepper, but I'm going to save this bouillon that I hopefully will add at the end, and salt and some sugar. We add sugar just to knock back the acid in the tomatoes a little bit. So again, very scientific, probably about a teaspoon. That was thyme. Sage, same, about a teaspoon. This is mixed Italian spices. This has all the good stuff in it. Marjoram, rosemary, thyme, savory, sage, oregano, and basil. So I'm probably going to be a little heavier handed. So probably about 2 tablespoons full of that. This is actually diced basil mixed with olive oil, and it's a very concentrated flavour. Again, probably about a tablespoon full of that. Good grinding of black peppercorns. I'm going to give it a stir so I can feel where the liquid is. Okay. I don't know if you can see that. There's the liquid level down there. Of course, when these vegetables cook down, that will change that level of the fluid. So, my wonderful Instant Pot. This combination, we have used the saute facility on it. We are now going to use pressure cooking, which I believe is over here. Yes. And to do that, we need to put the lid on and lock it. Turn it on to pressure cook. It's saying 35 there. I don't think we want it to cook that long. Along here it has the pressure levels. We have less, normal, and maximum. I'm going to leave it on the normal, and I'm going to put it on for 5 minutes. So you can see that just the display has changed. It's now saying on. We're going to wait for that to come to pressure. It has a pressure valve up here. It's not like one of the old style pressure cookers where you felt as if your life was in danger. It's self-venting, you don't have to touch it to release the steam, and we'll see how this works. Well, while that is coming up to pressure there, we have some lovely fresh basil here, which this is basically just for decor on top. Let me just roll this up and fold it across that way. And I hope our chef isn't watching. He's probably having a pink fit watching me do this. So you will see on the timer here, it's now displaying 0. That means that the pressure cooking has completed. Over the top here, you will also see this little metal pressure valve that's in the up position. Now we just have to wait for this to depressurize, and it will do it naturally. I can do it another way. I could just knock this into a venting position, but of course steam would come out, so we're just going to cut the video, wait for it to come back to normal pressure by itself, at which time I can take the lid off and add some pre-cooked macaroni. Now I could carry on using the Instant Pot to cook the macaroni in, but again I think that was going to take like another 10 minutes, so we'll just add pre-cooked macaroni this time. And we'll be back in just a few moments when this has come back to normal pressure. So that was the sound of it coming back to a normal pressure. Certainly not like the old-fashioned pressure cookers that I'm used to. As I said, you would hear that. At least you knew it was working. This one I was a little concerned it wasn't doing anything, but that sound releasing that steam shows it was actually at pressure. And that was only on for 5 minutes. And here we go, the moment of truth. It certainly smells Italian. You can see that texture there. Wonderful. So I'm just going to have a little taste to see what kind of seasoning that it takes. So I'll just let that cool off a little. Actually, it's really pretty good. I'm just going to add a little more salt in the form of this beef bouillon. That's good. As I said, I usually add half to a teaspoonful of sugar just to counteract that acid in the tomatoes. Wouldn't be Italian if it didn't have pasta. Well, it's smelling absolutely wonderful in here. All that's left to do is serve it, decorate it. I hope you've enjoyed your time watching this. I know that I have. Join us again for our next video version of Around the World in 80 Days Soup Edition. Mangia.